runway.
Hi, I'm Rennie Cowan on behalf of the Superman homepage.
Oh, awesome.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. You too.
So I have a question for you. You've done quite a few DC Universe animated movies. How high do you rate this film in comparison to the other ones you've done in the past?
It's up there. I think it's really strong. Visually, I think it's spectacular. I think it's like one of the best looking movies we've made.
Yeah.
I'm actually really pleased that we deliberately tried to mimic the art style of Michael Turner, the comic artist who did the original story, and I think we actually did a really good job of blending the best of his elements with the kind of usual animation style, and I just think it's spectacular.
So as far as villains go, do you see Supergirl as being starting out to be a villain in this film, or is it more of an origin story? Or
it's an origin story of Supergirl. I mean, we play a little bit. I mean, Batman's a little bit suspicious of her at first because she shows up, and Batman's that's just his nature, is just to second guess everything. So, no, it's the audience is pretty much on her side from the beginning because she's a very likable character, and you kind of want her to be good, and it turns out she is. So.
Right. So, it's a very strong female-centered character story. Do you think that if DC had marketed to a female audience for this, that it wouldn't have done as well? Or because it looks like it's definitely Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, and
it's a tricky question. Historically, female superheroes haven't sold as well as male superheroes, so there's a little bit of a little bit of a bait and switch going on, by not calling the movie, Supergirl the movie, but it is. I mean, it is Superman and Batman as well. I mean, they are major players in the film, but marketing is tricky. I mean. God, I dig myself into a deep hole here. I better stop talking.
So did you see, of course you've seen the Supergirl movie that Elia Sakine produced.
Oh, God, yeah, years ago.
What did you think of that film in comparison to something like this? Completely different origin story.
Again, it's probably been 20 some odd years since I've seen it.
Right.
So I don't have a fresh memory. I think I only saw it once. I didn't think it was very good. I thought it was, it kind of went down the campier side of even the Donner films. It wasn't terribly serious, and I didn't think it was. I don't think it was really produced at the same level of panache that the first Superman film had. So I don't know. I think this movie's. It's truer to the comics. It's more serious. It plays straighter with the source material. So I think true comic book fans will probably really enjoy it on that basis.
So what made you guys decide to go back to issues 8 through 13 of Superman, Batman, and what drew this story in as a possibility for a movie, an animated movie?
Well, we had already done Public Enemies, and this was kind of an indirect sequel to the Public Enemies storyline, kind of hooking up the big meteorite of kryptonite, which is of course how Supergirl comes to Earth. So it was kind of a natural progression, but it also just in reading the story, I thought Jeff Loeb had done a really good job of kind of putting a fresh spin on the Supergirl origin story. So we looked at it and thought, yeah, that's a really strong, solid story, and would make a good film. Didn't have to think a lot about it.
Right. So out of all the works that Jeff Loeb has done, do you feel that this is probably one of his best works in comic books? Or
it's hard to say. I've liked a lot of his comics. I really liked what's the Superman one? I can't think of the name of it. Superman for All Seasons, of course.
Okay.
I don't know. I enjoy a lot of his works. I wouldn't say this is one of the best. I mean, it's certainly up there, but I couldn't say whether it's one of my favorites or not.
So the big thing in Hollywood now is 3D, and I've even seen animated movies in 3D. So do you think that Warner Brothers, that DC is going to get into the DC animated movies that are in 3D? Do you think you guys will ever get into that or attempt that?
Maybe, probably not so much in these the hand-drawn traditional animated films. Probably won't be seeing those in 3D. But we are starting to experiment with CGI. So I can pretty much guarantee you that once we start doing the CGI stuff, you'll probably be seeing something there stereoscopic.
Great. So what are you going to go on to next after this?
Well, we've got already in the can. We've already got All-Star Superman coming out next, which is awesome. And after that is Batman Year One.
Right.
And I think those are the only things that we're allowed to talk about at the moment.
So do you think Batman Year One is going to be really, really good? Think fans are going to love that?
I hope so. I mean, everything that we've done so far on it, I think looks great. It's very, very faithful to the comic. I mean, big chunks of dialogue straight out of the comic. The visual look of it is based on Mazzucchelli's art. So we're doing our best to kind of like just kind of rip the pages out of the comic and jam them onto the screen. So got my fingers crossed for it.
That's great. So how faithful to the comic books do you believe that this film is, to the Batman Superman?
It's pretty faithful. I mean, we had to take a few liberties with it just because of the certain things that work better in comics that don't work necessarily cinematically.
Right.
But it's very, very faithful. It follows the storyline pretty closely. So
That's great. That's great. So what's your favorite scene in the whole movie?
in this movie, that's a tough one. I have a tendency to, even though the action scenes are spectacular, I have a tendency to like the quieter moments. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, one of my favorite scenes is a pretty emotional scene with Supergirl, which really gave Summer Glau a chance to really act her little heart out. So yeah, but I don't want to spoil it. So
Great. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Bruce. On behalf of Superman Homepage, thank you.
cool. Thank you. Hey, how you doing, man?